Hello everyone, welcome to Chebet Caroline. Thank you so much for joining me here today. So if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe, and also click the notification bell so that you can notified when I do have a new video. So today I'll be preparing a very common dish. It is called Mukimo here in Kenya. So I'll start by lighting up my charcoal oven just outside. It will take just around 3 minutes for it to light up, and I prefer using a charcoal oven because the maize sometimes take long to boil when you're using maybe a gas or maybe an electric oven. So I'll start just by peeling the maize cobs, and then from there I'll be able to start boiling the maize. Being the first thing, I'll be putting it in the charcoal oven. We'll be starting with the maize, so it doesn't take long, around maybe just 3 minutes for this maize cobs to be well peeled. So let's just do that, and then we'll be able to start boiling the maize. So for me, supper, I prefer start preparing it early enough. Right now it was around 3 p.m. that I started preparing supper, so that at least within 3 hours it will be ready. At least by 6 I start taking supper. So I started by boiling the water, and now I'm going to put the maize that I already peeled, and also I'd already washed them because it's always good to wash them before boiling. So when you're boiling maize, I do not put salt. Some people prefer to also put salt. That is an option. For me, I just put water and the maize. Sometimes depending on the any of the maize, it can take like 2 hours for it to boil. So for this recipe also, we shall be using potatoes. So I'm just peeling a good number of potatoes just for adding into the recipe of today. So potatoes are good also. It's just the normal potatoes, small in size. And also after peeling them, I'm going to wash them thoroughly. And also after washing them, I want to cut them into small bit size so that it doesn't take long for it to boil and be ready, so that I'll be adding it to the dish once it is well boiled. So the thing, after just cutting the onions, in this recipe also we shall be using pumpkin leaves. So right now I'm just peeling the removing the pumpkin, those like threads in the pumpkin leaves. So I'm just removing them, and then from here I'll be able to boil them. So after finishing the peeling, what I'm going to do also, I'm just making sure that I'll be washing them thoroughly before blanching them. So through washing, it will be able to remove any dirt or any maybe unwanted material from the pumpkin leaves. They are very nice leaves to be eaten also. You can also prepare with the garlic. So for now, I'm just going to blanch them, and also in the water I'd put a little bit of salt. So this one takes around at least 3 minutes, it will be ready. So right now they are well blanched. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove it from the cooking pot and just put it aside. I did not even cut into pieces. I just put them when they are whole, because after here I'll be putting it in a blender. So for me, I had already cooled them first before putting in a blender. So they I'm putting in a blender, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of water so that it can help to stir in the blender. I'm going to remove it from the blender, and then I'll just put it aside. So make sure you remove all the pumpkin leaves that are well blended, so that we can set it aside. And then this is the one that we shall also be using later in the recipe. So you can also add a little bit of salt, but for me I just put a little bit of water in the blended pumpkins. So if you don't have a blender, maybe you can also blanch using pestle and mortar in the best way possible. So after here, I'm also going to cut onions, which we shall be using. We shall just saute the onions. So I'm just going to cut them into a julienne shape. I do have around, I did have 3 onions here. So depending on the amount of food that you have, you can cut the onions. For me, I love onions, so it's something that this is the red onion. So I'm just going to cut them into the julienne shape. Also, I do have on the side, I hope you can see, we have garlic. So for garlic, it's optional. For me, I always love, I find it difficult to eat food which it doesn't have garlic or maybe ginger. So I am done cutting the onions, and then also I'll be adding a little bit of garlic. I do have around 3 cloves that are used for this recipe, which is enough for me. You can also add, or you can also opt not to use it. So the beans are well cooked. No, not the beans, sorry, the maize are well cooked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set aside a little bit, which I shall use it for something else. I'm only leaving those the amount that I know will be enough for me to cook. So after that, I'm also adding now the potatoes, which will take around 15-20 minutes to be well cooked. So right now I'm just checking if they're well cooked, which they are. After just putting I can see they're well cooked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drain that excess water that you see there. So from here you can see it is dry now. There's no more excess water, because if you have excess water, it will make the potatoes be very mushy and it won't be good. So for me, I do not have a potato masher, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a wooden rolling pin that I use for rolling chapati and just mash. So right now you can see they are well mashed. You can use anything to mash, even if it is just a bottle, as long as it you find that the potatoes are well mashed, so that they can also be well mixed with the maize. So right now I'm just going to add around a tablespoon of salt, and then I start adding now the pumpkin leaves, which we had already seen how to make it earlier. So after adding them, we can start mixing them together. Make sure that they are well incorporated. So this mixing, it will take a few minutes, around 3 minutes, and you'll be able to mix them together. I love this mixture. So as you can see, the more you mix it, the more it becomes, the color changes. So for the onions, we are just going to saute them. I have put oil, and there I am adding the onions. And the good thing with using a charcoal, I just love using the charcoal even when I am cooking food that takes long. It's because you find it gives food more flavor because of the moderate heat. So the onions are well sauteed. So I'm also going to add garlic, just the 3 cloves that we used, not necessarily into very small pieces, but I just cut them in a round shape. So adding garlic adds more flavor to the dish. So that is well sauteed. So we are going to add it to the mashed beans, not beans, mashed potatoes and boiled maize. Now we call it mukimo. So we're going to add the sauteed onions and garlic, and then we mix it together, and then in a few we shall be able to serve. So the food is now ready to eat, and the goodness with also using a jiko is that you'll be able to keep mixing slowly by slowly, while also making sure that you are able to control your heat on a moderately. So this is a very common dish, and it's a very nice dish. Some people also add beans in this recipe. You can use any beans, but for me I just prefer to use maize and potatoes and the pumpkin leaves. So I'm just serving the food. It is now ready. Already it's around 6:30, so as you can see the room looks a bit dark. It's because it's already in the night. So the food is well served. So I was just plating in this small bowl, but I'm going to turn it over to the other plate, and then I'll be eating from there. The food is very delicious. You should try it at home. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more.